Like I said in the previous video, I want to remove this code from the build function, and I will introduce two more widgets, and through that widgets we actually get the provider object, and also we will handle future data. So now in our body, in the scaffold body, in the search result page, we have a list view and we have a text, and then we have a column, and we are generating the children of the column based on this schedule list. I also want to make some changes for that function, this provider function, and this provider function actually getting the schedule list by matching the route name, and it is actually whatever list is it's returning, it is storing that list inside that schedule list that we have declared at the top of this app data provider class. So instead of storing that returned list inside this schedule list, I want to actually return the list of schedules from here. I don't want to store the results inside that list. Instead, I will return from this method whatever return type this method is returning. So this method is returning future list of bus schedule, and I will do the same. So I'm just copying these phrases here, and instead of void, I am returning a list of bus schedule wrapped in a future object. And then I don't need to call this notify listeners, and then I'm directly returning the future list of bus schedules. Now let's come to the search result page, and I'm removing these two lines from the build method, and instead of this column, I want to wrap this column inside another widget, and that the name of the widget is a consumer. So this will be a consumer widget, and this consumer widget is coming from the provider class. So I need to specify from where I want to consume. I want to consume from app data provider, and this consumer widget actually requires a builder function. So instead of this child, I am passing a builder function, and this builder function actually needs a context and the provider object, the object of that class, and a child argument, but I'm not interested in the child argument, so I'm passing an underscore for that, and then I'm returning this column. So now we have the provider object and everything is as before, but now you know that this schedule list is empty currently. So instead of accessing this list, I want to wrap this column with another widget, and that widget is a FutureBuilder. So FutureBuilder is a special widget that will build some widget based on future data. So I need to specify what kind of data will be returned in future. So the return type will be list of bus schedule. And I need to also specify inside this FutureBuilder the source of future data in the future argument. So I need to specify the method from this app data provider class. So I need to call this method now. And to call that method, I need a provider object, and consumer widget is giving us a provider object. So I'm simply calling provider dot get schedules by route name, and I will pass the route name. I have the route object over here, so I'm simply saying route name. And also FutureBuilder requires a builder function, so I'm passing a builder, and builder if I press Ctrl plus spacebar, it will give us some hint, and I will actually take this one. But before that, I want to move away this column. Actually, I want to cut this because I will be needing this column once again. So I'm selecting the whole column by pressing Ctrl W, and then cut. And inside the builder, I'm pressing Ctrl space, and now I'm selecting this one. So FutureBuilder actually will give us a snapshot, and we can check the snapshot, the value of this snapshot, whether it is the data has loaded or there is any error. And if there is no error and data not yet arrived, then we can show some other widget like a progress bar. So now I will check if this snapshot object is actually, if you hover over the builder function, you will see that this snapshot is actually a list of schedules, but it is wrapped inside an async snapshot object. So now I'm calling snapshot.hasData method. That means if we have the data, then we'll return something, because from this builder function we need to return a widget. So if snapshot has data, let's extract the list from this snapshot. So final schedule list, that will be snapshot.data. And since we have the data, so I am putting a not null assertion here. And now we will return the column as before. And we don't need to access the provider schedule list anymore, because we have the schedule list from the query, and we will use that schedule list. So I'm just removing the provider dot options here. So now we have told the FutureBuilder to return a column if there is data. We have to also specify some other scenarios. If this snapshot has some kind of error, that means FutureBuilder actually failed to fetch some data, then it has error, and in that case we want to return something. Then I'm simply returning a constant text that will say failed to fetch data. And if this is not the case, that means there is no data yet, no error, that means the data is yet to arrive. In that case, we will simply return a text which will say please wait. So by observing the status of snapshot, we can either return a column or a text widget that contains a failed message, or a text widget that says a please wait message. So in this way we can efficiently handle the future data without having trouble to sync the widget, because data coming from future, we have to wait for the data before we build the widget. Otherwise, widgets are built first, then data arrives, and we need to somehow create a mechanism to sync or refresh the widgets after the data has arrived. So if we use FutureBuilder, then we don't have to worry about synchronizations between data and the widgets. And now if I restart our application, I'm selecting the cities, selecting the date, and then I'm pressing the search button, and we got the results as before. But this time we don't have any asynchronous method call inside this build function. So this is very useful whenever we have a future data or some method that will return some data as future. We have this FutureBuilder. And like FutureBuilder, we have also a stream builder. And the difference between future and stream is future data will arrive only once in the future, but stream data, that's also asynchronous data, but it will keep coming in the future. So like a stream of videos or stream of audio and live stream, etc. In that case, we use actually the stream builder. Now, one thing I want to change how every schedule looks. We are returning just a list style here, but we want to create a custom widget for every schedule item in the schedule list. So I want to create a custom widget for that, and inside this search result page.dart file, I want to create a new widget, and the name should be that will be a stateless widget, and I'm naming this as schedule item view. And inside that widget, I will be bringing two variables, the departure date and the schedule object as well. So final string date and final bus schedule. And I need to update the constructor as well. So record this dot schedule, record this dot date. Now instead of passing a list style from here, I will pass a schedule item view for each schedule item. And I will be needing this list style in a later moment. So I am just make a cut. And now I'm returning schedule item view. I need to pass the schedule. I need to pass the departure date as well. Now, if I run this application, we will be able to see nothing because this schedule item view is returning nothing. Now we have to specify how our each schedule item will look like. So instead of a placeholder to be returned from this build method, we will return a card widget. A card is a material widget. It will provide it provides some shape. We can also make the corners round. We can provide some shadows in form of elevation and so on. So inside this card, as a child, I am passing a column. And the cross-axis alignment should be start, and the children of that column will be let me show you the diagram first. So this is actually a diagram, or the schedule item view will look like when we are done constructing that. So this portion is actually a list style, and this is a row, and this is another row, and this list style and row and this row will be inside a column, and this widget is actually a card widget. And if we had not used the dark theme, you'd see the card background color white by default, and we can also set the background color for card as well. So the first child will be the list style, and I'm just pasting the list style that I have cut from here, and this will be as like before. And the first child of the column is a list style, and the second child of the column will be a row. So I am taking a row widget, and I want the main axis alignment as space around. And the children of that row, the first child will be a text widget. It will show actually the from and to city. So this will be from, and I need to print the from city from the schedule, bus route, and city from. I want to add some style as well. So constant text style, the font size, say 17. Let me format this code. And as the second child of this row, I want to have another text field. I'm just copying it and pasting right under this text widget, and this will show the to city. That means city 2. And now that we have shown the from and to cities, now we need another row that will actually show the departure date and the total number of seats available for that bus. I want to wrap this row inside a padding widget so that we have some space around it. And now I want to actually copy this whole padding and paste it right under it. And this children of this row, the first text widget will show the departure date. So instead of from, I'm typing departure date, and departure date is inside the schedule object directly. So schedule dot departure time. Sorry, I'm keep repeating saying that departure date is actually departure time. And next thing I want to show is the total seat. So total seat, that would be the property of the bus object. So I need to access the bus object first. So bus and then dot total seat. So if I rerun this application or press simply hot reload, as you can see, now we have our each schedule item in a different look. So this item is actually a schedule item view, and we are returning a card widget from here, and inside that card widget we have a column. The first child of this column is a list tile, and the second column is a padding wrapped inside a row, and the third child also a row widget that is wrapped inside a row. So now it's time for our user to select one of the schedules, the schedule he or she may like to travel, because all this schedule actually travel to this city from that city, but user may travel to either AC business class bus or an economy bus or a non-AC. And also he want to consider the ticket price, also the departure time. So if he wants to travel on a AC business class, he has to select this schedule item. And in order to select this, we need to provide some kind of on-pressed or gesture detection functionalities, because by default our card widget does not have any on pressed or on tap functions. And to provide this kind of gesture to our card, we need to wrap our card widget inside either a gesture detector or an inkwell. So I'm taking an inkwell widget. It will provide a ripple effect, and it is good for animation. And inside this inkwell, I am taking an argument on tap. And now if I press hot reload, now you will see these items, each of these items are tappable right now. Now it's our time to go to the seat plan page, but when we actually go to the seat plan page, we will take this schedule object and this departure date as well. So see you in the next lecture. We'll be constructing our seat plan page there.